Your voice, your opinion, your community. Fact TV, free speech protected.
Hello, I'm your host, Kris Roberts, and welcome you to The Long Road. I know it's been a little while since I've had a show. I was recently in Japan for a few weeks, in Japan and Hong Kong. Went to Japan to go to my grandson's wedding. It was additional Japanese wedding in the temple and everything, and we've taken a lot of pictures, we've taken some film and everything, and once we get it all together, I'm going to put it on the show so people can see what is going on, how the wedding went, and all that kind of stuff. Over like the past week and a half, I've been wondering what to do for the next topic for the long road. What would be the most significant, meaningful type of stuff with everything that's going along in the world. Ukraine and Russia are just like World War I. They're in trench warfare. Neither side's going anyplace. And it's just like a battle on the Western Front. People are constantly going to get killed. Winter is coming in, and winter has done a lot. Winter has destroyed a lot of European armies, whether from Hitler's army to Napoleon's army to some Prussian army, Austria armies. You don't fight in the dead of winter in Russia. You just don't do it. Nothing is going either way. Ukraine has to worry about Russia knocking out its energy production. If Russia knocks out the electric power plants, then Ukraine is in a serious problem. President Biden wants to give Ukraine $100 billion more. And he says, well, it's not really $100 billion because we're going to use $30 billion to buy back, to replace the $30 billion worth of equipment that we gave them. Well, 30 extra billion are going to want to be spent. A lot of people are not happy with it. The majority of the American public is not happy with it. Both Democrats and Republicans. $100 billion is an awful lot of money. We have the situation in Israel and the Gaza Strip. It's causing a lot of hate and discontent. Congress is worrying about and having hearings on what college presidents are doing to calm down their students. And but one of the things that's happening right now, people going back and forth. We don't know whose numbers to believe, and Hamas is not always truthful, but some independents saying thousands of women and children have been killed. Well, you know, when after wars are brutal, and at the end, when you look at the numbers, usually it's far more innocent people get killed than combatants. In Iraq, about 7,000 American soldiers and service members get killed. Far many more Iraqi citizens got killed. And so China is playing games with us, getting closer, and basically causing the United States to send Navy here, Navy there, spending extra money. So any one of those three would have been almost a standalone topic. And but as I kept going, I think the big topic right now going forward, two that I'll address today, it is looking more and more, less than 40 days to the Iowa caucuses, not much different, much longer than that to the New Hampshire primary. But it's looking more and more that it'll be two old men, two old white men, one 82, the other one 78, running for president of the United States. As a country of 330 million people, when we look at it, we got two people that the vast majority of the American people don't like, don't trust. And that's the choices that we're going to get for leadership. And I can't even call it leadership. That's the choices that we're going to have to be our next president of the United States. We're looking at re-electing Joe Biden, who could very easily be, well, he would be the oldest. He's the oldest right now. And then Donald Trump isn't that far away. So Joe Biden has some serious mental issues, serious issues in staying awake. He's stumbling. He can't put his words together. Donald Trump is obese, maybe morbidly obese. And we know neither one of their doctors tell the truth, because all their doctors like the job and they don't want to lose their position by telling the truth. And I went to the Social Security website today as I was prepping. So as of today, according to the Social Security statistics, Joe Biden, Social Security expects Joe Biden to be dead within the next 8 years and 7 months. That's it, by their statistics. The Donald Trump, 10 years, 4 months. So we got two individuals, basically, by all statistics and everything, should be dead within 10 years. So we're asking we're giving the American people the choice of one of these two people, where the odds are, if either one gets elected, they will not be physically or mentally qualified to complete their term as the President of the United States. And then I heard Joe Biden say the other day, well, you know, if Donald Trump wasn't running, most likely I wouldn't run, because Donald Trump wants to be a dictator and he's going to take over our country. Well, how is Donald Trump going to, if we elected President Trump to be president, he can't become a dictator. We have laws, a whole bunch of ways, and plus, the people in the military, yes, there's a few that would like to have Donald Trump as their dictator. I was reading the report. I think it said it was about 280 individuals the Department of Defense have found. The Space Force, the Navy, and the Marines had less than 10 individuals. The vast majority of the individuals that would support Donald Trump in being a dictator was in the Army, but that was still less than 200. Because when you join the United States military, you don't go in and swear an oath to the President of the United States. It isn't like Germany, Nazi Germany, where you swore an oath to Adolf Hitler and then Germany, but Adolf Hitler was always first. I spent 21 years in the Marine Corps, and my oath was to defend the Constitution of the United States from enemies both foreign and domestic. Okay, so if someone tries to become a dictator, that's a domestic enemy. And the military will support the Constitution to make sure that we properly handle domestic enemies. And so to take the politics away from it, because neither one of those individuals deserved to be president of the United States. Neither one of those individuals deserved to be elected as president of the United States. And there's only a few times I've ever said it, who I voted for and stuff. I didn't vote for either one of those individuals last time, and I would not vote for either one of those individuals going forward, because I love my country and I would like to do what's best for our country and see what's best. I would want a country that's good for my children, a country that is good for my grandchildren, and even I'm getting old because I have 2 great-grandchildren on the way for next year, and I want a country that is good for them, and I don't see how either one of those individuals would be able to do that. So what I did, there was just a recent poll by the Gallup, and Gallup is pretty unbiased. And so what they did is they asked the American people to rate the ethics of the president's top administration officials. And what they did was basically only 42% of the American people said that the people that work in the President Biden's administration are ethical. And of that 42%, only 8, basically 1 in 12 people in the United States believe that the people in President Biden's top administration have good ethics. We're talking about the President of the United States and his staff. The American people say only 1 out of 12 of all American people believe that President Biden's staff is highly ethical. Another 34, 1 out of 3 people in the United States said that President Biden's staff had good ethics. 58% of the people in the United States, only 8 are not good, and 37% said they're poor. Almost 2 out of 5 people in America believe that President Biden's staff are unethical, have poor or unethical standards. That is the President of the United States. That is his top people. And that's one of the individuals that we're running. Okay? Now, before it, some people want to jump on me saying I'm pro-Trump or I'm anti-Biden. Anybody who supports former President Trump should not be really excited about these numbers of 1 out of 12 think they're ethical. Well, because when President Trump was president, only 37 to 38% of the people thought that President Trump's staff had good or better ethics. So more people felt that President Trump's administration was unethical than President Biden's administration. So what we do is we have 2 groups of people fighting over who had the worst ethics. We should be fighting over who has the best ethics, but no, we're fighting over who has the worst ethics. And both of them are way off. Okay. President Reagan, the good to excellent, excellent to good, a 64, a 68, George W. Bush, a 58, a Clinton, a 56, George Bush, a 72. So, even President Clinton with Monica Lewinsky administration, basically when you look at that, his administration is he's about 58. So basically 33% of people, more people felt that President Clinton's administration had excellent to good to excellent ethics compared to the 38 and the 42 for Biden and the 38 for Trump. So what we possibly be come November, we could be having as American people the choice to pick between what the American people have decided the 2 most unethical presidential administrations in over the last 40 years. And looking at this, but when I throw in Carter and Ford and those other ones, Biden and Trump may be the most unethical administrations, going all the way back to President Harding and the Teapot Dome scandal, where the people in the administration tried to get rich off of selling oil leases, government oil leases. And if we're supposed to be the shining light, that's not the type of light that I think we need to shine. And George Bush was, with the caveat from the Gallup poll, it is notable that Biden and Trump are the only presidents whose administrative ethics have received more negative than positive reviews. That is the Gallup poll. And so, now it's not looking very good. And the other part is, I was listening to the FBI director. And lo and behold, the FBI director stated, there has not been the greatest concern and indicators to the possibility of a terrorist act in the United States since before September 11th. He is basically saying all the indicators are pointing to a terrorist attack. I just hope he's wrong, but he told Congress this is what all the indicators are looking at. Because of the Israeli and Hamas thing in the Gaza, because of all the people that are getting killed, the pictures of women and children, he's saying is the chances of it happening are being greatly increased. And that would be expected because, we're Israel's closest ally, and so you would expect them to latch out. September 11th was a direct result when Saddam bin Laden, a Saudi Arabian who had a really serious problem with the Saudi king allowing Americans, soldiers, military to come to Saudi in 1990. He felt that was a total religious violation. Up to that point, bin Laden was one of our guys. We were supplying bin Laden and the Mujahideen as they were fighting the Russians in Afghanistan. But that was the break. When we put in American forces into Saudi Arabia as we get ready to launch the attack on Iraq in 1991 for Operation Desert Storm. Okay? So what the FBI director is saying is a lot of the Muslims are kind of viewing that what's going on in Gaza as the same violation. Again, the Americans are supplying weapons and arms to Israel, which are being used to kill innocent women and children. So a lot of Muslims could, well, not a lot, that's not a lot, well, we can say a lot of Muslims are angry at the United States. And just because they're angry at the United States doesn't mean they're going to lash out in a harmful way with that anger. Okay? 9/11 was less than 30 people. So 9/11 wasn't the result of millions and millions of Muslims around the world. 9/11 were basically 30 people that were pretty radicalized. And so the FBI director says the biggest risk for a terrorist attack will come from the southern border. Yes, the Border Patrol has been, I think I was looking at it, they've caught 64 people that were guilty of murder or manslaughter, so many of rape and all these different things. And so they had a list of the number of criminals that they have caught. Those are the ones that are trying to go through, have no idea of the other ones that have gotten through by not going in and turning themselves in. And you would expect the dumb ones would be the ones that would go and turn themselves in, and they would go like an Interpol or international fingerprint database that catches them. But a lot of them use smugglers in every way and get in. More coming in from the northern border. Some are coming in from the Atlantic Ocean, the Gulf of Mexico, the Pacific Ocean. So there's different ways they can get in. Very few are coming in on flights because of all the requirements and restrictions to get in on the flights. Okay. When you go in and so that's what the transition I'm going to, what we do is one of the reasons why people don't view the Biden administration as ethical is because when the individual from Homeland Security goes in front of Congress and says the southern border is under complete control, you're lying. Plain and simple. I don't like to call people liars, but he's in one of the situations that I would call a liar. And not only that, he would be definitely unethical, and he would be definitely not defending the Constitution of the United States. He reminds me of somebody that, put it bluntly, like we used to joke in the Marine Corps, that person has his or her butt so far up the boss's butt that they have ring around the collar. The guy will do anything to keep his position. He doesn't have enough personal integrity or fortitude to go to the president and say, Mr. President, I can't do this job. Because when I took this, yes, you nominated me, but I had to say I would support the Constitution of the United States. And every time I go up in Congress and I lie to him, it's a felony. I'm committing a crime. Okay? When you have a couple of million people coming over the southern border a year, how do you say that is under control? And now you have the FBI saying, yes, if we have a terrorist attack, it is very likely that the people that will create the terrorist attack came into the United States through the southern border. And so, could not you say, bad English, if someone came through the southern border and launched an attack in the interior United States, would not that have been an invasion through the border and into the United States? That one, I'm going to let people think on it and just, let's think about that. And so, and mostly all the people that are coming in, they're asylum seekers. Okay? Oh yes, asylum seekers. Yep, we're going to give them the opportunity to apply for asylum. Well, let's give the last two official years, 2020 and 2021. In 2020, there was 30,964 people that were granted asylum. 2021, during President Biden's first year, 17,692 were granted asylum. That's right, 17,692 were granted asylum. Now let's go deep into those numbers. Okay, of that 17,000, okay, let's round it off to 18,000. 6,000 of those asylum seekers came from Asia. So one out of every third person that got approved for asylum were from Asia. Let's see, Asia. Oh, there's China, Indonesia, India, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iraq, Kuwait, Iran, Saudi. Okay, you know, places that, they'll kill you if you're homosexual. Or they might kill you if you're a Muslim. Or they might kill you if you're the wrong kind of Muslim. Or they might kill you because you dishonored the family name and married the wrong person. You know, all the things that where people would have real serious life-threatening, you know, they might kill you because you don't wear your burqa. You know, those. Africa, 3,000 of the asylum seekers which were approved, 1 out of 6 came from Africa. Oh, they got countries in Africa where it's against the law to be a homosexual and you can be killed. Yep, your life's at risk. Or Africa still has, yes, the problem with Africa, we created Europeans created a whole bunch of different countries in Africa, but we didn't care about ethnic lines. Oops, you're in the wrong side of the town. And just the other day, I think it was in Nigeria, 85 Muslims were killed, over 60 were injured because a drone strike. Someone said, oh, those are the enemy, so we'll just blow them up. But a mistake was made, and it was just a group of Muslims getting together for a religious event. Well, but Nigeria is not really a big Muslim country. So that happened. Here's one that's really interesting. 5,000 of the people that were granted asylum were from North America. Okay? There's only 3 places in North America, and we don't give asylum to American citizens, so those people had to come from Canada, or Mexico. Okay? South America, less than 2,500 people from South America. Okay, South America, you know, that's Nicaragua, Guatemala, Colombia, Venezuela, Brazil, all those 2,500. Europe, 1,000. You know, that's like Ukraine and some of those other places. Russia, the 51 people, they didn't know where they came from. And 8 people came from Oceania, so that would be one of the island states. So, why does that, I emphasize that number, 18,000? Okay, I will bring this up later on. So I'll just jump right here. Okay. So you had less than 2,500 from South America. You know, before July of this year, there was over 472,000 Venezuelans who put in for asylum. 472,000 Venezuelans had put requests in for asylum over the last 18 months. And so, when I would look at this number, just jumping, you know, say if they gave Venezuela all 18,000, 450,000 Venezuelans will not be granted asylum. Okay? Part of the game. And again, going back and forth, it's political, different ways going, and I tried to get something that was non-biased as possible. And this was September 27th. Okay. It goes, the likely record number of asylum seekers and other migrants entering the United States after being apprehended at the southern border is placing unprecedented financial strains on states and cities nationwide. The other thing is the absence of federal support to significantly display state and local costs, long waits for migrants to work legally, and large numbers arriving without connections in the country have combined to create an insubordinate burden for several major receiving cities, which have spent billions to meet immediate goals. The situation has aggravated already tight housing markets and created a blame game, city, state, federal. And I said before, here's the problem. New York and Chicago and Denver and Los Angeles and Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, they want the federal government to pony up money. Okay? So if the federal government was to pony up money, there's no way in the world that the Republican states would not say, if you're going to take care of them, you better take care of Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, Florida. And so that would go. It wouldn't happen. the president would not be able to get the 60 senators to end the filibuster so that can be voted on. And so even if he took over the House, he wouldn't be able to get it. New York Mayor Adams, who's said the influx may cost New York about $12 billion by mid-2025, and said it will destroy the city. $12 billion will not destroy the city of New York. The city of New York has been in much worse shape before. The problem is, in the past with illegal immigration, okay, if it was Chinese, illegal Chinese immigration, they would come in and they would migrate and get adapted into the Chinese community. Just like the Haitians, Dominicans, the Mexicans, the Venezuelans. All these different places around the country have their different ethnic communities, so illegals can come in, know people, family members. They know, I know someone who knows someone who knows someone, so we can get you a job, different things like that work under the table. But what's happening now is people are just coming in. When you go in, today I was looking, when I was looking, there was a whole bunch of Chinese that escaped from China at the border getting ready to cross over. So it isn't just people from South America. There are people from South America, Asia, there's Indians, there's Russians, there's Ukrainians, Africans from all Nigeria, you name it. Everybody is taking the advantage of coming in. You can fly into Venezuela, you can fly into Brazil, and then make your way up through the rainforest into Panama and up the roads. There are people, if there's money to be made to transport people, people will be transported. So now you got all the people coming. And so let's see. New York has already spent $1.7 billion, or about $380 a day per family for those. Chicago is expected to do $255 million through the end of July. It may be up to $500 million before the year is out. D.C. has spent $64 million and expects to reach almost $60 million by October. Denver has each arrival costs up to $2,000 and has spent $24 million. Massachusetts said the state is paying $45 million a month on migrant services. So in recognition of the strain on public coffers and political relations, the administration last week offered temporary protective status to as many as 472,000 Venezuelans who arrived in the United States on or before July 31st. The designation supplemented a prior TPS to Venezuela, and expanded the total number of temporary protective status to about 1.7 million people. And why is TPS important? Because if you get temporary protective status, you can get work permits. And so you would normally get work permits up to 2 years, but what they're doing is they're trying to change those work permits from 2 years to 5 years. The TPS change in particular is the fact that it allows beneficiaries to work legally and has been a major priority of New York leaders and could benefit an estimated 60,000 Venezuelans in New York City. Well, yes, 60,000, that's low-earning, low-paying jobs that's not going to pay the rent. New York is now, it got to the point is you only can stay for so many days and you're kicked out and then you have to reapply. And and like I said before, where there's money to be made, people will adjust their outlook and their personal opinions to make sure they get part of that money. You know how we were saying in past, they're going, oh, this is Texas's fault. Texas is busting people up to New York, Chicago, different ones, putting it all on Governor Adams. They put on Governor Santos because of his busing some people to flying people to Martha's Vineyard. Well, there's Democratic mayors in Texas being overwhelmed, El Paso and those, and they're sending people out to other places. Okay, a term that you may have heard is NTA. So you come in, you get processed by Border Patrol, Immigration, and they say, here's your notice to appear, here's your cell phone, we'll call you when it's ready to go. For the first 11 months of fiscal year 2023, more than twice as many NTAs were filed in interior states as New York, Illinois, than in fiscal 2022. Okay. Those entering to Custom Border Patrol 1 appointments at ports of entry may not be reflected in the data. 263,000 people have received an appointment. Okay. And notice to appear. In 2021, in California, 30,000. 2023, 160,000. Florida in 21, 45,000. In 2023, 150,000. New York in 2021, 30,000. 2023, 145,000. Texas, 40,000 compared to 140,000. New Jersey, 10,000, now 50,000. Illinois, about 3,000, now it's about 45,000. Those are the people that are given notices of appear, and they will supposed to show up for their asylum hearings. Don't count on very many of them showing up. And so, what happens to the migrants, the asylum seekers and stuff? There's so much BS and hogwash put out there concerning benefits and what they can get and what they don't get. Okay, there are federal benefits, and there's federal law that takes care of that. Some states have done it on their own and decided out of the goodness of their heart they were going to offer these. They offered a lot of these benefits when it wasn't very costly. Now it's changed. If you're an asylum seeker, okay, you have to file your application. Okay, and after you file your application, and if it's pending for 150 days, or you're eligible to receive work authorization 180 days after filing. So if you come in and say, I want to file for asylum, the Border Patrol says, okay, here it goes, here's a notice to appear, and you wait 6 months to file your application. Every day you wait postpones the day that you're able to get work authorization. If you wait a year, you still got to wait 6 months, 180 days after you file your asylum paperwork application before you can get a work authorization. So now you can go and say, well, who's going to help the people fill it out? Well, that's a problem, and we'll address that in a little future. Okay. Individuals granted parole is, for example, a number of the ones that were granted with parole were from Ukraine. So basically they couldn't go back to Ukraine. So if you've got the parole, you can get work authorization right off the bat. Individuals applying for temporary protective status can apply concurrently for work authorization. So, temporary protective status, 472,000 Venezuelans can be granted that. So can Haitians, so can Cubans. But just because you're in the country and you can be granted for it, you got to apply. If you don't apply, after a while, you're in the country illegally, and as long as you're in that status, you cannot work. The day you apply for temporary protective status is the day you can be granted your work authorization. So those 60,000 Venezuelans in New York City, they cannot get work authorization until they complete and submit the application. Work authorization applications cost $410 for parolees, and the TPS applications, unless they apply for a fee waiver. The fee is always waivable for asylum applicants and is waived for TPS applicants under the age of 14 or the age of 15. So this is what it goes. If I have a TPS authorization, I want it, then I have to go in and apply. I better save $400 so I can do it. And so I think we're getting to the end of the time. But one of the things was, they say, well, they don't have English skills, they can't read, they can't write. But just 20% of the migrants granted parole have filed for a work authorization. And so even if you got it, you got to file for it. So 80% have not filed for it. So how are they living? Who's paying for them? And then the governor of New York and Massachusetts and all the other ones saying, well, you know, President Biden, we want you to change the 180-day wait. We want you to be able to give these people work authorizations right off the bat. Well, the 180-day work authorization is a federal law. Congress has to pass a law changing those dates, that time frame, and the president sign it so it can be done. It isn't going to happen. Congress is not going to do that. Okay. In 2019, let's see where we go right here. Okay, whether you're able to work or not, migrants enter the United States without authorization are largely unable to access the safety net programs relied upon by many U.S. residents, with limited exception. Emergency Medicare for Medicare, medical emergencies, free and reduced lunch, special or WIC for infants and children are available regardless of immigrant standards, but regular Medicaid, Child Health Insurance Program, CHIP, food stamp, SNAP, supplemental income for seniors and those with disabilities, and temporary assistance for welfare are unavailable to many non-citizens, particularly those who are not permanent residents. So a lot of these migrants, immigrants, or whatever you want to say, they're not covered. They're not covered by the federal government. If you're pregnant, yes, you will get WIC. If you have kids going to school, those kids will get fed in the school free. And so, contrary to Fox News, Newsmax, and a lot of those, the federal government, the taxpayers, are not paying for any of those. If you are a legal resident of the United States, some after 5 years and some after 7, you can qualify these. Some, if you're over 65, you can get Social Security SSI, but only for 7 years. Whatever, this is what I was talking about earlier. Asylum seek applicants, TPS holders, and parolees have slightly greater access to benefits, mainly for children. In 35 states and Washington, D.C., asylum applicants, TPS holders who have children or pregnant are eligible for federally applicants public health insurance. Asylum applicants must also have pending for more than 180 days, and if age 14 or older, must be authorized to work. In these same states, children and those who are pregnant and have been granted parole that lasts 1 year or more can access public health insurance. Parolees' children can access food stamps, but those who are asylum applicants or TPS holders cannot. Okay, so time's up for today, and so we'll finish this on the next show. And so again, what I want to do is cut through the BS and just get right to the factual stuff. And again, it was great to be back, and hope you enjoyed the show.